Hello everyone. Today we shall study the best known lyric of John Keats, that is Ode to Autumn, which is a poem addressed to the autumn season, describing it as a season of happiness, a season of beauty, of colors, fruits and ripeness. Before we come to the poem, we need to know something about the writer who penned this remarkable lyric, that is John Keats. John Keats was born in the late 18th century to humble parents. He could not receive any formal university education, but because of his love for reading, he taught himself Latin and French besides English. Being a scholarly person, he derived pleasure in reading epics and writers like Homer, which greatly influenced him and took him a far way in becoming one of the most recognized romantic poets. He also influenced his contemporaries like Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley. Although he did not receive much recognition during his lifetime, but after his death he was well received by critics and his reputation grew at the end of the 19th century. He became one of the most beloved of all the English poets and had a significant influence in the world of literature. Chiefly recognized as a romantic poet, he enraptured the world by his aesthetic and the sensuous sense. His works will always remain memorable for the passionate expression of beauty. It is his words, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever," which are immortal in the world of literature. One of his major works include Lamia, Isabella, Hyperion, and many others. The list continues. Giving a brief introduction to the poem, Ode to Autumn is a lyric which was composed in 1819 at Winchester. It is addressed to autumn and it is considered a thing in itself because it celebrates the bountiful beauty of the fall, which has been unsung by other poets. Many poems have been written about spring, a season of abundance, but the poet recognizes autumn not as a season of impending decay, but as a season which is filled with life and happiness. It is described as the culmination of weeks of summer, warmth and sunshine, as trees overloaded with fruits and beehives dropping with honey. So the abundance of life has been portrayed in this poem in a picturesque manner. Now we come to the text of the poem. The poem has been written in 3 stanza form, which have 11 lines each. In the beginning of the stanza, the subject has been introduced, whereas in the later half, there is musing upon the subject. The first paragraph begins with calling autumn as a season of mist. Mist because at the end of the summer season, because of the warmth of the sun, there is lot of vaporization in the atmosphere. So the atmosphere is full of mist, that is fog, and mellow fruitfulness. Mellow means ripe. The autumn season is full of ripe fruits, as it is a close bosom friend. Bosom means intimate, friend of the maturing sun. The sun shines brightly in the autumn season and because of the heat and light of the sun. It combines with the autumn season to fill the fruits, to load and bless the trees with fruits which are ripe to the core. The author describes how the huts where the thatch eaves, that is the roof of the huts, are full of vines, and the vines are loaded with fruits. That is, the vines lining on the roofs of the huts are full of fruits. Even the cottage trees where moss is growing, moss means algae, where algae is growing are bent with apples. That is, so many fruits are there on the cottage trees that they are bent with its weight, and they look beautiful. Even the fruits are described with detail, where it is said that the autumn season fills all fruits with ripeness to the core. That is, the fruits are ripe till the center. Now he describes the different fruits which are often seen during the autumn season. That is, the gourd, the hazel shells, they are all full to the brim with a sweet kernel. Kernel means the center of the fruit. So all these fruits like gourd, apples, hazel shells, they are ripe to set budding more. Besides the fruits, even buds are seen to be grown on the plants, and later flowers. The plants are full of flowers for the bees. When the bees they see these flowers, they are attracted by them for their nectar. They approach them because they see that the whole atmosphere, the whole landscape is full of buds and flowers. So the bees, they really feel happy about it, and they approach the flowers, they take the nectar from the flowers, and they fill their clammy cells. That is, the sticky beehives are full of honey, owing to the nectar sucked by the bees. The bees are so happy with this season that they think that the warm days here refers not to the heat but to the happiness. So the bees think that these happy days will never cease. That is, they will never come to an end, because summer has overbrimmed their clammy cells. As I told you, that their sticky cells are full of honey. So this happiness seems to the bees as never ending, because the autumn and sun, they work in cooperation to fill this season, that is the autumn season, with happiness and warmth and richness. So this season in this paragraph has been described as a season of contentment, where bees, the happiness of the bees is referred to as the happiness of all the natural objects. Now we come to the second paragraph, where the autumn has been personified in different forms, showing the occupation or the different works that are carried on during the autumn season. In the second stanza, Keats pictures how autumn is seen sitting like a farmer. He addresses the autumn season and says, "Who has not seen thee?" Thee means you, the autumn season. That who has not witnessed the autumn season sitting amidst thy store. Amid means in the middle of, and store means where grains are stored in a building. Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting carelessly on a granary floor. So here he refers autumn as a person who is sitting carelessly because he is contented, he is satisfied that his granary, the building in which the grains are stored, is full because of the harvest. So autumn is personified as a farmer who is sitting happily on a floor of a granary. thy hair soft. Now here autumn has been personified as a lady whose hair are soft lifted by the winnowing wind. Winnowing is an activity where the grains are separated from the chaff of the wheat. So here he says, because harvesting has been done, so the air which winnows the harvest, the same wind or the air lifts the hair of a lady by its gush. So autumn has been featured as a lady whose hair are spreading by the effect of the wind. Or he says that there are many other works which are done during the autumn season, and he says that sometimes autumn can be seen as sleeping on a half-reaped furrow. That is, furrow means a row of crop which is half reaped, that is, the crop has not been reaped fully from it, and the farmer is sound asleep, that is, he is deeply in his sleep owing to the fume of the poppies. Poppies is a plant whose aroma is intoxicating. So by the intoxication of the poppies or the opium, the farmer is drowsed and he is tired because of the cutting of the harvest, the reaping of the harvest. So we can see autumn as a farmer who is sleeping across the row of the crop. While thy hook spares the next swathe. The farmer, he wanted to cut the next line of harvest also, the crop also, but because he's asleep, so his scythe is not cutting the next swathe, that is the line of crops, and all its twined flowers. So the twined means twisted flowers, they are spared by the attack of the hook of the farmer because he's asleep for some time. So we can see that autumn is described as a farmer or as a winnower here. So autumn has been personified as a person, and sometimes like a cleaner. Another occupation which has been referred to is that of a gleaner, who does keep steady thy laden head, who is steadily moving with his head laden, that is full of the crops that he has cut. The bundle of crops is on the head of the gleaner, who is taking it across a brook. Brook means a river. So the gleaner, after cutting the harvest or the crops, he is carrying them across a river. So all these activities, that is the cutting of the harvest, the winnowing, the gleaning, it is all done during the autumn season or by a cider press. Cider means the juice of the apple. So here, because the autumn season, as it was said in the first paragraph, that autumn season results in the ripening of the apples. So those apples are used for taking out the juice on different farms. So autumn can also be seen as a cider presser, taking out the juice of the apples. Thou watch, as it is a person who is watching the last oozings, the last drops of juice coming out throughout the day, hours by hours. That is, there are so many apples during the autumn season that the juice is unending, or it is continuing to be taken out of the machine, that is the cider presser. So we can see that picture of autumn has been presented in different forms, in the shape of a farmer sitting carelessly, or in the shape of a gleaner or winnower or cider presser. So we can see that 4 forms of autumn have been presented. Now we come to the next stanza. Where are the songs of spring? Where are they? Here there is a certain change in the tone of the author, as he for a moment has a nostalgia for the spring season, and for a moment he says, where are the songs of spring? As if he is missing the music of spring season. And he repeats those lines. the repetition in literature is done for stress, to emphasize something. So he is emphasizing these lines, but at the very next moment, in the very next line, he erases those thoughts from his mind and says, think not of them, that it is wrong to plead for the spring season to come again, because the autumn season has its music itself. It again describes the beauty of the autumn season by saying that barred clouds bloom the soft dying day. That is, during the autumn season, clouds are seen whose reflection is falling upon the plains where the stubbles, that is, the leftover parts of the crops after harvesting it, are left in the field with rosy hue, because the day is dying, that is, the day is ending, evening is approaching. So the redness of the sky, along with the reflection of the clouds, it is seen falling on the ground which is full of stubbles, or the left part of the harvest. In the next lines, the music of the autumn has been described in varied way by describing the various insects and the birds, the swallows twittering in the sky. And in a wailful choir, choir means a group of musicians, wailful means mournful or crying, the small gnats mourn. Gnats are small insects which are usually seen in the autumn season. So the gnats have been described as making a group and making sounds among the river shallows, that is, along the bushes of the river. Those gnats are seen producing beautiful music during the autumn season. They are borne aloft, that is, they are taken up in the air, sometimes by the force of the air, or sometimes they sink as the light wind lives or dies. Along with the wind, the groups of the gnats, they are sometimes carried upwards and sometimes they are brought down. And along with their rise and fall, their music also changes in their pitch. Besides the music of gnats, the other sounds that are heard in the autumn season are those of fully grown lambs, that is, the lambs bleating. Their blah sound is heard from the hilly bone. Bone is the ground or the grassland. From there the sound of the lambs is heard. Hedge crickets sing. Crickets are also small insects which sing in the hedges, that is, the bushes. And now with treble soft, the redbreast. The redbreast is a bird whose sound is like a whistle from a garden croft. So from a garden enclosure, this redbreast or the robin bird is also heard to be producing a music in a treble soft, that is, a soft shrill note. And gathering swallows twitter in the skies. Besides this, the chirping of the swallows can also be heard in the skies. So different music of autumn are referred to in this stanza. So it begins with the wish that the songs of spring may return, may come again, but later on this departure of the spring is welcomed by the songs of the autumn season. So he fills this season with a rich mood of serenity and happiness by describing the different crops that are grown during the season, the different occupations, the different fruits, and then the different music produced during this season. So this momentary regret is replaced, which crosses his mind and then gives place to contentment. Now we come to the critical appreciation of the poem. That is, the poem has been, the theme of the poem or the summary of the poem can be summed up in this form. Autumn, we can see that autumn has been presented in various forms here. Personification in different forms has been done, which helps to give a human touch to the poem. The description of the autumn is very simple. It is done in an uncomplicated manner. There is nothing which is confusing. Everything which is described is based on the daily observations of the season, the daily occupations done during the season, and therefore it is referred as one of the simplest odes of this poet. Everything described is simple, direct, and clear, and it portrays the poet's direct love of nature in a better and fuller expression. Hope I've given you some insight into the poem of John Keats, and it would help you to understand it in a better way. Thank you.